Boruto, episode 77, A Fierce Enemy, Garaga's Ferocious Attack. So in this episode, we have Boruto ending up with the contract with the giant snake and not Sadara, because I realized after it happened, like, yeah, this series is about Boruto becoming the next Sasuke, not, Sadara following in the Uchiha footsteps. So, made perfect sense, they go through it. I guess technically Boruto used his eye power, even though his eye doesn't light up or anything like that. Like, he just entered Garaga's mind, and I was just like, okay, that's super weird. Like, it wasn't like his eye power did it or anything. It was just like, unless I missed it, but, obviously it was the snake's eye that opened up and was completely white, and it may have been there for that split second, but it looked like both of Boruto's eyes were normal, so it totally could have been there, and I missed it, for that split second it happened, but I was like, it seemed like his eyes were totally normal, and poof, he ended up in his mind, but it had to have been the eye power, because otherwise, that's dumb. But yeah, we see, like, why this giant snake, why he hates humans, and it's because the person that he had a contract with betrayed him, and he, like, struck him down with a lightning bolt, which it was very interesting. Like, watching the character, I was like, it looks like he's definitely doing some Chidori type stuff, because he does the jutsu. I should have been looking at his hands, because I know the hand sign for the Chidori, but he did it, and he had, like, lightning in both his hands. I was like, that looks kind of like the Chidori, and he summons, like, a lightning bolt out of the sky, and I was just like, that's interesting. And of course, the way he looked when he first showed up, I was like, that guy looks like an Uchiha, because they all have, like all the older Uchiha characters have, like, the exact same hairstyle, and it's just, like, spiky, but it's all down, instead of Sasuke's where it's spiky and it's up. Everyone else is just like, yeah, it's just down and spiky. So it's like Sasuke and Obito are, like, the only two people with, like, up spikes, and everyone else has, like, down spikes. That's legitimately it if you watch the show. And I guess Madara is, like, in between, because his hair is, like, a mountain in itself, so I don't know how you categorize that, but it was just interesting. I was like, is there going to be some story behind this guy? And there's like, nope. They're fighting in some desert a super long time ago, and they were going to lose the castle, but the guy was betraying them anyway, even though it didn't make sense, because it's like, well, it's a summoning jutsu. He could just dispel the jutsu, and it's like, boom, he's out of here. So it's very confusing. I'm like, there must be some big deal with this, and maybe it'll come up later. We'll find out that this guy's body is being used or something like that, by Orochimaru, or, whoever these characters are with Mitsuki. But I was like, this is very interesting. It was weird that they had so much detail for that. And the way it played out, it wasn't like, oh, he hates humans because they killed the guy that was, like, his best friend. It was like, no, the guy betrayed him, and then that was it. And it was just like, something about that. That's just one of those story elements where it was like, that seems like it'll come back. I feel like it has to, or it was just weird that they spent that much time on it. And them going through, and, like, they even animated the fact that it was, like, a fight sequence, and obviously they, went through a fight, but they could have done that, in dialogue if they wanted to be cheap about it, but they animated it, and, drew it out, and I was like, when you do all that extra work, it feels a bit relevant to me. So I'm like, I feel like that character has to magically show up, and it'll be the older version, or he'll look exactly the same, or, some weird stuff. But either way, we go through the story, and Boruto decides he's not going to steal the reverse scale. He's actually going to go into a contract with the snake. The snake agrees, because they make a crazy deal where Boruto's like, I'll get Mitsuki back, and if I don't, you can eat me. So he's like, fine, I'll play along. So they get the answers they're looking for, because he brings the whole snake to the lady, and it turns out she's like a grand snake in herself, and she reveals the fact that Mitsuki's snake has, like, these last little memories and stuff, and it's that Mitsuki didn't want the guard to actually be killed. So it was pretty interesting. I was like, alright, so he didn't actually betray the village. I was very curious. Like, the main thing about that is, now that they know, because, like, it just dawned on me, honestly, but the fact that they knew the guy was alive is kind of weird to me, because the whole point of the memory was like, oh, he's totally dead, like, we checked his pulse. So maybe they just thought it was a mistake, and it was like, oh, well, I definitely checked his pulse. So maybe that's what it was. But I was like, well, they know he was alive, so they didn't, like, question Mitsuki. But I guess it makes sense. They would just be like, well, definitely felt like he was dead, and they let it go. But speaking of dead, they definitely killed that one guy. Boruto, they never do this sort of, Naruto in general, they very rarely do this sort of thing where they, just kill people outright. And it's not like a grandiose spectacle, but that dude was dead, and I was just like, dang, they murdered that guy, and that was it. There was no, holy crap, like, flick it off or whatever. It was just like, we find out that he's not a traitor, he's actually been put under Genjutsu, and I was like, okay, well, that's interesting. And then little paper centipede comes out, which, of course, we'll get to that, but little paper centipede thing comes out, and it just, it was just crazy. I was like, this is a character we've seen, I can't think of the dude's name, but, Snot Dude. I was like, this dude can like crystallize his snot, and he couldn't like flick the centipede off or like do something ninja like and just grab the thing at super speed. He was just like, oh, you fucked, and he died, and it was just a huge explosion. I thought the explosion was actually very well animated, and I was like, wow, they like completely destroyed that guy. Like I almost expected blood to come out because like. I mean, it was the whole centipede was just like all up his back. I was like, that is a huge explosion, and he's dead. And I was even reading some of the comments, and people mentioned that like they really just killed that dude. Like it was just like he's dead. Like it's just such a weird, rare thing to see that happen, where it's just like a totally random character, and he's gone. And it was just like, dang, that was like some. That was almost dark because they don't ever do that outside of like the grandiose things, like the main villain gets killed and stuff like that, or one of the heroes dies. This was just some dude who was introduced in the last episode. He might have been somewhere else, and it was just like, oh, he wasn't actually one of the bad guys. He was just tricked. And then he died after that. After they found out, it was just like, wow, casualties of war. That blows for that dude. And he's dead now. So, crazy moment. But going back to his cause of death with the explosion, seemingly, of this paper slash clay centipede, the characters seem to have some Akatsuki based abilities, and their eyes are super weird. And I was like, well, I know they're not Hyugas because they would have done, certain things would have been a bit different. And I was like, they have like the white eyes, but it was like, well, and someone mentioned in the comments they kind of have like Zetsu eyes. And it was really interesting to figure out what is the deal with these characters. And some people theorize maybe Orochimaru was trying to clone them, the Akatsuki members, and that's why they have these similar abilities. Because of course, it could have been paper. Like the way it was angled, I was like, I can't tell if that's clay or if that's paper with the way it was done, but it did seem like it was probably clay. And plus, it blew up as well, so it could be a combination where it's paper, but they blow up instead of it being dead as clay. But I was just like, man, all of this is interesting. And then they have like the weird sort of like those are like the white clay monsters, and then they have like the other like gray clay monsters, which are also, I mentioned before, were like living and like almost ate the snake and everything, and they were like living almost on their own. They were kind of sentient, which I guess in a way kind of relates to Zetsu and the weird stuff with that. So it's a lot of weird stuff going on with these characters, and they've officially been revealed. They say one of the characters' names. Something that I realize now is super weird and almost dumb at this point was the fact that they had the characters in the last ending and they didn't show who they were. And my theory on that was like, oh, they'll show the characters because they drew them out and everything. I was like, oh, they'll show the characters once they get revealed. And now we have a different ending, and now they've been revealed. I was like, well, why'd they have them in shadows? It was like, what does it matter? Like it's not like they revealed anything special about them. They just showed the character designs, or they would have. I was like, that's super weird that they did that with like the grayscale. Maybe they just didn't want to bother coloring it in. But I was like, that seems super weird. I feel like that ending was supposed to go on longer, and then they would reveal it. It'd be like, these are the silhouettes he was fighting and stuff. And I was like, that just seems weird. They probably should have just waited and saved that ending, and then had the characters fully animated in the ending scene. But either way, this is a fun episode to watch. Twist ending, because like I said, I wanted Sada to get it just because I thought that would have been cooler. But like I said, this series is Boruto becoming the new Sasuke. Like, he has the lightning stuff, which they changed from the movie. I'm still a little upset about that because it makes so much more sense that it becomes invisible because it's wind instead of lightning changed it and made it invisible. But whatever, it's Boruto becoming the new Sasuke. And so they go through, they're gonna get Mitsuki, and we find out that he's not exactly a traitor, but he's going to the land of Earth. So I'm very excited to see where they're headed with this. Just because I'm curious what this whole mystery is about. Like, why did he leave with them? That is, of course, still the big question. What are they searching for in the land of Earth? So I'm excited for some answers. I wanted to touch on the opening and the ending because I don't feel like I did that in my last review. Love the new opening. I think it's a million times better than the last opening. I just really like this one. I think the song is good. The animation is fantastic on it. I definitely like the animation. I'm really excited based on what they show. It seems like they're going up against some crazy beast. It almost looks like an insane version of like a Snake Sage mode, because it reminds me of, like, even in this episode, the specific snake at the very end, she had those sort of scales, and I was like, that's kind of what the beast looks like in the opening, where it has the giant tail come out. It kind of looks like those crazy like super scales or whatever they would be called. But that's kind of what it looks like. It's almost like a Jinchuriki snake type deal, and I was like, what's going on there? But we see Gar's son come in, and the other two, they're not as cool. But they come in, so they're going to be fighting and stuff, and I was like, all right, I'm excited for that, end of the season, of course, but I'm looking forward to that whenever it ends up happening. But I thought it was good. I like the ending as well, not as much as the opening, but I like the new ending as well. I think the opening is just really, really good. It might be my favorite opening actually, just for the combination. I don't think it's not my favorite song, but I like the song enough, and the animation for the opening I think is without a doubt the best for sure. But like the opening, like the new ending, and I'm excited to see where we're going now that we're officially out of the cave. I'm kind of glad about that because I was like, we know they're gonna beat them or whatever. I'm ready for the next step. So now we've got the villains officially revealed, one by name, and other, the rest visually at least. Hopefully, we'll be getting some answers sooner rather than later. But all in all, decent episode. Of course, would love to know what you guys thought about it. So please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts about it, least favorite parts about it, and I would love to know what you guys think the answer is to why Mitsuki is going to the land of Earth. What is he trying to figure out? Maybe he's trying to get a new power, something like that. It's kind of just up in the air at this point, and maybe it will be revealed, when we find out that these people may or may not be clones of the Akatsuki or whatever's going on there. Maybe they're related to these people. That would be interesting. It's like they just happen to have similar powers because they're all related. Could still be tied to Orochimaru in some way, shape, or form because it's Orochimaru. But that should be interesting. I would love to know your predictions on why he went there, and of course, what you guys thought about this episode in general. So please put your comments down in the comment section below. And of course, thanks for watching.